Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Fierce Changers figure to take a look at. We have the final of this wave, the Double Danger wave of these Fierce Changers. We've got the Baryonyx and Parasaurolophus version, and the packaging is exactly as it was the last few times. Nothing really special to go over there, but you can see here the back. Everything, of course, is now just flip-flopped, where we have the current figure and the way it transitions from one dino to another, and then we have the other two figures over here that we have already reviewed. So let's pop this out of the box and check it out. So here is our Baryonyx version of the Fierce Changers figure, and I kind of like him. I don't know what it is about this guy. I think he looks very crocodilian and kind of neat looking. Like, he doesn't look quite as awkward as a lot of them usually do, and I really don't know why. I think maybe it's because we've got a Parasaurolophus here, and the front limbs aren't as long as they would be with some other dinosaurs. But then again, we had a Stegosaurus and Ankylosaurus, and their front limbs aren't quite as long as, you might find on like a sauropod or something. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is about this one. I just think he kind of looks pretty cool here. So that's a plus at least. And I really quite like the tones of color they've chosen for the Baryonyx version. I think that bluish tone looks really cool. And then, of course, the underside, we could see that what we've got going on for our Parasaurolophus. So I'm kind of intrigued with this one because I think I like it a little bit more than I normally do. So let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Baryonyx, you can actually see some nice looking detailing here in the face. Some nice looking skin texture, fairly vibrant overall. You can see the nostrils sculpted out right there. As we lose focus, you can see the eyes painted with a yellow, giving a black pupil. We again have the big bulky kind of teeth, but again, in similar situation here to the Carnotaurus, I don't think they look quite as bad as they did when they were on the T-Rex. You can see we do have this lighter tone for the lower jaw that follows along the underside. And one thing that is cool about that is it actually kind of gives the figure a fully painted look, which is pretty cool, even if there's not a whole lot going on as far as the coloration, but it does at least have, like, the coloration runs the lower jaw, runs down here, runs through the entire underside, even overtakes the legs. So it has that going on for it at least. But we do have an articulated jaw, which opens really quite wide, definitely the widest of all of them so far, and you can actually get a fairly decent look at the tongue there on the inside of the mouth. Nice realistic tone of color in there. The teeth on the lower jaw also don't look quite as awkward as a lot of them have, so that's a plus for the Baryonyx as well. No paintwork there on the inside of the mouth and the upper side, but I didn't really expect it. I will say, though, you can see it's a little bit loose, like it just drops. So the lower jaw of this one isn't quite as nice as the others, but it still works pretty nicely. It just feels like it could become a problem if I used it too much. As you move up here to the top of the Baryonyx, you can see that we have, again, more of that kind of crocodilian sort of look going on, as we have scoots running down the course of the upper side, somewhat of an armored kind of a look going on for the upper side of the Baryonyx. There isn't any other coloration up here, so no patterning or designing or anything going on, just that one tone of color. But the actual detail looks really good and is really quite vibrant. Probably the nicest I've seen on any of these smaller Fierce Changer figures. As you move down, you can see the blue kind of, stripes and designs down here as we transition to the Parasaurolophus coloration. You can see that the arm here of our Baryonyx is obviously very clearly a leg, which is probably the biggest problem, I think, for these figures. Like, that's one of the things that drives me crazy the most about them and really kind of turns me away from the figures, is how awkward it looks when it comes to the arms. But at the same time, considering what it is, there's really nothing else you could do for it, and I think Mattel made the best of the situation that they probably could. But you can see, again, the detail looks pretty nice in that area as well. Same deal here for the rear leg. We do have the pleasure, at least, of adding the toes and nails for the Baryonyx, rather than making it look as awkward as the hand does up here. And then, of course, you can transition that back to the nails of the Parasaurolophus, because we have those kind of sticking out of the rear part of the foot. I will say I did just notice that, I don't know how it took me this long to notice, but you can see that the toes are kind of sculpted out in a way where it looks like fingers here for the Baryonyx. So when you look at it from the front, like, that actually doesn't look too bad. It's not until you turn it sideways that it becomes a lot more awkward. But I feel like they actually do kind of look a little bit better than the larger versions do, and I'm not sure why. But as you lead back, you again have the tail. Not really any kind of a curve going on like you saw in a lot of the others. It's much more straight out. Now we're going to, of course, get to the point where we transform our dinosaur. So we'll pop this open. We've obviously got the other parts, and we have to straighten the legs out here, make it look like it's Superman, so we can get the bottom part open correctly to transition the dinosaur. And that's like stuck for some reason. There we go. We got that open. And now we pull the head out of the Parasaurolophus, and then the tail as well flips around. And we got it right. I don't know if there is a right or wrong way with these ones. The other ones, you have to move them and transition them and transform them in a specific way for it to actually work. I don't know if that's actually the same case for these smaller ones, because so far I've nailed each and every one on the first try, which makes me think that maybe not. But as you again put the nails in, you reposition the legs, and then you'll have yourself a Parasaurolophus. And again, it's not exactly what I would call perfect currently, but we'll get it there when we get down and actually take a look at it standing. But you can see the Parasaurolophus head sculpt. It looks pretty darn cool. He's the angriest Parasaurolophus I've ever seen. We've got the very angry orange eye, nice black pupil. It seems like every time we go to the herbivores, they end up with an orange eye, and the theropods actually have like a yellow eye. But you can see the nostrils sculpted out, nice detailing there in the beak, nice detailing in the crest, and you can also see that's all painted with a dark brown. And then we have this light tone for the face. There is a speckling, pretty abundant speckling on this one. As you move through, you can even see the ear of the Parasaurolophus right there, which is a nice little detail that you don't always see on Mattel figures. And then as you move back here, you again have a different tone of color here up on the back, as we have this variation of brown. Seems like the herbivores almost always get treated to a little extra color compared to the carnivores. But as you move down, you now have the legs and everything looking much more like legs. And again, in this situation, the front leg still doesn't look very good on a Parasaurolophus, because that's not how it would look, but I guess it still kind of looks better. But I don't think this one's going to be quite as nice as what we had seen with the Ankylosaurus and Stegosaurus. And now you have the toes pushed back in, so you've got the rear foot here for your Parasaurolophus. And then again, pretty much everything looks exactly as you would expect it to. There's not a whole lot of difference once you transform it into the Parasaurolophus from the Baryonyx. But again, it looks okay, for what it is. Not great. I'm intrigued to see if it's going to be alright looking when we get it, on the review station standing and stuff, because I don't think I'm going to like it quite as much as I did with the Ankylosaurus and Stegosaurus. But for what it is, again, it looks pretty much as I expected it to. And there is our Parasaurolophus standing, I think, the correct way and looking okay, but as I said, I definitely don't like it as much as the Ankylosaurus or Stegosaurus. I definitely don't think it looks quite as nice. As far as the articulation goes, it's exactly the same as the others. Again, it's only in the legs. You can, of course, articulate the head and tail and everything because you have to transition them back in, but there's no real movement or anything that you can do with them. A little bit of wobbliness, but that's really about it. And then, of course, you have articulation in the shoulder and the hip, the elbow and the knee, and then the wrist and ankle. And that's really about it. And that just kind of helps you to reposition the limbs and everything to create this visual of a Parasaurolophus over the Baryonyx. But as far as a size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 5 3/4 inches. Nah, maybe not quite there. Oh, I lost it. I'd say actually a little over, in between 5.5 and 5 3/4, or about a little over 14 centimeters, approaching 14.5, but not quite. And then for a height to the back, about 3 inches or around 7.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Parasaurolophus here. And you can see, again, it's exactly the same size pretty much as all of the others. No real big size difference or anything going on with this one. And then for another comparison, here are all 3 of these versions of the Fierce Changers. You could see all of them in the herbivore form here next to each other, as we've got the Ankylosaurus, the Parasaurolophus, and Stegosaurus here standing next to each other, showing you that they are all a very, very similar size. And then here we have a comparison with all 3 different versions in this size range of the theropods, as we've got the Baryonyx, the T-Rex, and Carnotaurus here. And you can obviously see these are all, again, pretty much right there in that same similar size range. So no real big size differences between each and every version. Obviously, they are by no means to scale with each other. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Fierce Changers, Parasaurolophus, and Baryonyx is kind of cool, but I don't think I like it quite as much as I did when it's the Parasaurolophus as I did as the Stegosaurus or Ankylosaurus. I just think the Parasaurolophus looks okay, but looks a little bit awkward, whereas the others looked fairly similar to what they should look like, just obviously very exaggerated. Regardless, though, the sculpt and detail on this one, as far as the fine detail, is probably some of the nicest I've seen on any of these, especially when it's the Baryonyx. I think the detail looks really quite nice on that, and I'm a big fan of the tone of color they've given to the majority of the Baryonyx. I think that as well looks quite nice, so that's a plus. And the Baryonyx as a whole is probably one of the few theropods that doesn't look super awkward in this line, and I'm not sure why exactly, but it looks a little bit better than a lot of the others do. But as a whole, it's still, again, another Fierce Changers figure where I'm not a massive fan of. I kind of thought maybe I'd warm up to them as time went on, and I think I have a little bit, but I don't look at them with pure disgust like I did at one time, but they're still not quite as cool as they could be. However, I think kids, again, will absolutely love this stuff no matter what. If it looks awkward as these do, kids are still going to enjoy them, and that's obviously who Mattel created these for. We're children, not so much us adult collectors, even though they clearly do cater to us adult collectors a lot with this line. This line, I think, is more so reserved towards kids. Kids will love it, so I can completely understand why they went the route of these Fierce Changers. So if you are interested in picking this one up for yourself, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that, and you can grab yourself this or any of the other Fierce Changer figures that are out currently. So make sure you check that link, go grab this if you are interested, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.